So hello everyone. Thanks for joining us in late August. This is the first workshop we hold under the Structure Change and Economic Growth research program. And this is theme number 2 on labor, home production, and structural transformation. So Taryn and I will be basically the theme leader for this theme. So how we are going to run today's workshop is I will first give you a few minutes overview about what the theme is about. And then Taryn will tell you the logistics of today's program. And then at the end of the workshop, Taryn will also share with you the research areas that we think will fit in nicely into this theme. So you see there are 7 slides here, but I will not cover them all as Taryn will go through the research area at the end. So let me just briefly give you an idea what this theme is about. So Okay, so the most important thing we started is about home production. So if you look at, so there's a recent publication by International Labour Organization in 2018, which shows, which used the, sorry, there's something that keep popping up in my screen. How could I not let it? Any idea? Okay, anyway, so let's leave it, sorry about that. So the recent publication from the International Labour Organization on home production that used time use survey from 64 countries that reported basically that every 10 hours of market work, there are 7 hours of home work around the world. And this differences is quite, this ratio is quite similar in many countries. So the 7 to 10 is the average for the world. So this is a lot of time being spent. So one naturally want to understand what is the value of these hours. So there has been a study in the past trying to understand the extended national account, basically assigning value for the home production. One of the participants here, Ben Bridgman, who worked at the BEA, has done some work for the US and find that when you include the output of the home production, it can come up to more than 20% of the GDP. So it's a very substantial value that is out there, not included in the GDP measure. Now, one naturally think about, so for the, my screen is not moving, okay. All right, so when you think about what is the home production activity, so these basically include childcare, adult care, cleaning, cooking, household account, purchasing goods and services, maintenance, repair, and gardening. When you think about these activities, many of them can potentially be outsourced to the market, meaning that we can purchase these things in the market instead of doing it ourselves. This is sometimes called the process of marketization. Many of us have experienced the outcome of demarketization during the recent COVID-19 pandemic. I myself started to have to do cutting hair, baking bread. Many of the activity that used to be outsourced to the market, many have come back to the home. There's some government trying to help, sort of reverse this kind of demarketization, such as the UK government's scheme on the Eat Out to Help Out scheme, which paid 50% of people if they go eat out. So that is one way to outsource the cooking from the home production. Now, when you think about this marketization process, many of these sectors that are producing this output in the market belong to the service sector. So naturally, the process of marketization is linked to the process of structural transformation, which is the reallocation of input across agriculture, manufacturing, and services. And that goes back to the theme of our theme. There's a close relationship between home production and structural transformation. So why is this home production time and the linkage to structural transformation very important to the labor market? Because there's a time constraint. So if we have to spend time in the home production, naturally that will reduce the time we have available for the market. And so if you ask people, why do they stay out of the labor force? There's from using labor force survey from 84 countries, the same study by our International Labour Organization plot this sort of main reason for people to stay out labor force. The blue here is the home production I've shown you earlier on. And what we've seen here is home production tends to be the main reason why women choose to stay out of labor force. So one of the important things that come out of the film is the focus on the female labor force participation. Because what we see is women traditionally or even nowadays spend much more time on home hours than men. So the home hours of women is triple that of men. And the demand for home production, as I showed you in previous figure, is the main reason why women, they self-reported to be staying out of the labor force. This is interesting because you might think, oh, that's because of the social culture or custom. Actually, culture has been changing, or at least changing into the direction supporting women to work in the labor market. Because the survey shows that 70% of women actually prefer to be in the paid work, and 66% of men agree as well. So it's not the culture that traps women in the home production. It looks like there's something more than just culture. Of course, culture might have played a role, but there's something more. The key question seems to be, how can women increase their market hour without diminishing the output of home production, which is to have a clean home and well look after children. And that brings back to what we see earlier on, which is the affordability of marketization. Because marketization allows women to outsource the home production time while the family can enjoy the output. So the development of the corresponding market sector that will allow women to marketize these home production actually also create jobs for women, as these are the sectors usually quite female intensive, such as the education sector or the healthcare sector. So through the marketization process, we see that two jobs can be replaced, can replace the home production times that we've seen. So that sets out why we think the female labor force participation is an important topic within this interaction between home production and structural transformation. At the end of the workshop, Taryn will come back and show you some of the specific research area we are looking at, but this gives you an overview of why we think home production is important and it has an important interaction with structural transformation.